If it's not broke, don't fix it. But just because you got perfect scores doesn't mean you're perfect. That seems to be the design philosophy behind God of War 2, which was something of a swan song for the PS2 back in 2007. The story is far more involved and complex than the first game, though it's not exactly Red Dead Redemption. Kratos is still a very simple character, and the plot is still straightforward until the end, when time travel gets involved. At the end of the first game, Kratos killed Ares, got pissed that the gods couldn't or wouldn't purge his memories, and he ascended to the throne as the new God of War. Turns out Kratos isn't any better than Ares. Gee, who would have thought? And so Zeus takes matters into his own hands and strips Kratos of his god powers, prompting another quest for vengeance, this time targeting the three fates in order to keep Zeus from putting an end to Kratos' rage. Once again, the story at hand isn't all that special, and a series of flashbacks add flavor. The thing is, the story of Zeus' origins, the Great War, and the fate of the Titans is arguably more compelling and necessary than Kratos' backstory was. And seeing how much of a dick Zeus can be gives meaning to your journey that wouldn't be there otherwise. All of this to say that Kratos is still a cruel bastard and doesn't really learn any lesson here aside from what it'll take to kill Zeus. As the middle chapter in the trilogy, Kratos is pretty stagnant. Santa Monica knew they were going to do a third game, and the prequel Chains of Olympus was already in development, with apparently very good communication between Santa Monica and Ready at Dawn. But the story isn't the main reason to play this game. Like the first, it's an engaging, well-directed gauntlet of monsters, puzzles, platforming challenges, and some jaw-dropping cinematic set pieces that put the first game to shame. The enemy variety is even better this time around, as are the ways you can deal with them. The special attacks with the Blades of Athena hit with a lot more oomph. Switching between weapons is easier, though the Barbarian Hammer is hands down the worst weapon in the entire franchise, and the magic spells are more varied and useful. The levels have brief periods where they come close to being as cool as Pandora's Temple. Most of them, though varied and different for the franchise, are a tad cliche. Rhodes looks like a normal Greek city, Hades still looks like Hades, Typhon's Island is the obligatory snow level, and the Island of Fates has some ruins, swamps, and forests, but that's about it. Where the game really shines is in its set-piece moments. Yeah, you fall into the underworld for a bit, but while you're there, you're climbing around the face of Atlas, a living, breathing titan. Same thing goes with Typhon's Island. The monster isn't much of a threat, but he creates a lot of obstacles for you to get through. And the first thing you have to do on the Isle of Fates is get some giant horses moving to connect parts of the island. And how about those bosses? There's a lot of them, and a good portion of them get the same sort of build-up as the giant Minotaur from the first game. The Colossus is a great introductory boss that mixes cinematic moments with some actual challenge. Typhon isn't really a boss as much as he is a brief puzzle challenge. The Dark Rider is someone who actually beats you when you first fight him, making your rematch all the more satisfying. Theseus talks smack to you before you beat him down. The Barbarian King already has history with Kratos. Uriel is a far cooler fight than any of the Gorgons, and she gets a lot of build-up as you make your way through her fortress. Perseus gets some build-up before you fight him. Icarus is dealt with in a quick-time event. The last part is honestly a little heartbreaking. The Kraken is actually the lamest boss in the game. Lachesis and Atropos make the best fight in the game and are even more antagonistic than Zeus. Clotho is a decent change in pace since she's a puzzle and not really a fight. And the final fight with the Zeus is even more jaw-dropping than anything in the first game. So yeah, a lot more bosses, though a good chunk of them aren't as good as any of the bosses in the first game, but they're far more varied in approach and thematic weight. And that's the biggest compliment I could give this game. It's just as visceral and cathartic as the previous game, but everything you do feels bigger, more important, more epic. It all just has way more weight. I'm impressed that Santa Monica didn't get cozy with all the praise for the first game and made strides to improve. It's not the most drastic spike in quality, but there's nothing that's downgraded, and that's always worthy of praise. I give God of War 2 an 8 out of 10. Santa Monica would continue making improvements to the franchise. Meanwhile, another studio had something smaller and far more intimate in store for Kratos. And I'll talk about that next time. I'm Mediocrity4. Thanks for watching.